In 2016, in a quiet town in Ohio, a night shift emergency dispatcher named Laura worked the graveyard shift, the hours when calls were rare and the silence felt heavy. At exactly 2:17 a.m., her phone rang, but when she glanced at her screen, something was wrong. There was no caller ID, no incoming alert, no log entry, just an empty system. She answered anyway. On the other end was a young woman whispering, her voice shaking, breath uneven. "Please, he's in the house." Laura's training kicked in. She asked calm questions, typing rapidly, but nothing appeared on her system. It was as if the call didn't exist. When Laura asked for an address, the woman whispered that she was hiding in a closet. Then came a faint creak, slow footsteps, and the sound of a door opening somewhere nearby. Laura begged her to stay quiet. The line went dead. Police searched nearby neighborhoods, but found nothing. No disturbance, no missing person report, no record of the call. Laura couldn't shake the feeling something terrible had happened. The next night, at exactly 2:17 a.m., the phone rang again. Same voice, same words, same fear. This continued for a week. Each call was identical, the pauses, the breathing, even the footsteps. Desperate for answers, Laura accessed archived audio logs. What she found made her hands tremble. The calls weren't new. They were recordings from a 911 call made 9 years earlier, tied to a domestic homicide case. The woman had been murdered minutes after the call ended, at 2:17 a.m. But there was something worse. The archived audio ended with a whisper not mentioned in any report. She didn't make it. Laura quit her job the next morning. Weeks later, unable to move on, Laura requested the original case file. An old detective's notes mentioned something chilling. Neighbors reported hearing a phone ringing inside the victim's empty house for days after her death. The phone line had been disconnected. Laura deleted the archived audio from her personal drive. That night, at 2:17 a.m., her personal phone vibrated. No number, one voicemail. Heavy breathing. In 2019, a business traveler named Mark arrived late at night at an old hotel in New Orleans. The building stood between newer hotels, forgotten and slightly leaning, as if time itself had grown tired of holding it upright. Inside, the lobby lights were dim, and the air smelled faintly of dust and old carpet cleaner. When Mark checked in, the receptionist paused longer than necessary. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard before she handed him a key card. There was no room number printed on it, just a single dash. Mark asked if it was a mistake. She shook her head slowly and said, almost under her breath, "We don't usually use this room." The elevator doors closed with a dull metallic sound. As it climbed, the digital floor display flickered, briefly showing a number that disappeared before Mark could read it. When the doors opened, the hallway felt colder than the rest of the hotel. The lights buzzed softly, and the carpet muffled his footsteps unnaturally, as if sound itself was being absorbed. Inside the room, everything looked normal at first. A neatly made bed, a desk, heavy curtains blocking the city lights. But the mirror above the dresser made Mark uneasy. His reflection seemed delayed, as if it moved a fraction of a second after he did. When he stepped closer, the room in the reflection looked deeper, stretched, wrong. That night, Mark awoke suddenly at 3:12 a.m. There was knocking. Not from the door, from the bathroom. Slow, deliberate, as if whoever or whatever was knocking knew he was awake. The knocking turned into scratching, fingernails dragging across wood. Mark sat frozen in bed, listening, afraid that if he moved, the sound would stop and something else would begin. By morning, the bathroom door stood open. The mirror inside was fogged, though the room was cold. At the front desk, staff members exchanged nervous glances when Mark mentioned the room. One employee insisted he had been assigned a different floor. Another said there was no record of his stay at all. Finally, the manager took him aside. 15 years earlier, a guest had been found dead in that room. The door had been locked from the inside. Handprints covered the walls. The mirror had shattered outward, as if something inside the reflection had tried to escape. Afterward, guests reported seeing themselves standing behind them in mirrors, smiling when they weren't. The hotel removed the room number. They pretended it didn't exist. That night, Mark packed his things and left. Security footage later showed him walking through the lobby alone. But when the footage was reviewed again, something else appeared. In the reflection of the lobby mirror, a second figure followed him, moving slightly out of sync. Mark never arrived home. Weeks later, cleaning staff reported hearing scratching from behind the sealed door. Maintenance workers refused to enter the floor. Mirrors throughout the hotel began showing unfamiliar shapes, faces just out of focus. Months later, a travel forum post appeared online. It was written from Mark's account. The post contained only one sentence. "The room looks different from this side. The hotel still stands, and the room still waits. Unnumbered, unempty."